this next example here, example 7, we've got a much more complicated query here, which you work on these a lot of times, and you just have to understand, especially when you're copying out of a book and you're not writing it yourself, you're probably going to make some typographical errors, which can drive you crazy. So when I first wrote this up, I had a few typographical errors as well, and so it took me a little while to get everything squared away like the book has it. But that's why I think it's always so important to go ahead and have this gap between the lines, so that way what information should be here and what isn't. Because sometimes this gets a little bit tricky to read as you go through here. So I would encourage you to be patient when you go and run these queries and when you write them, because when you start looking at the book, you're like, oh, is it a comma or a period? And you just got to make sure you get them all right, and then you'll forget simple things like underscores. And it's oftentimes that your code will actually be perfect, with the exception that you've got some kind of a typographical or some kind of syntax error that's throwing things off and will not give you the correct answer. And when I first plugged this in, it took me a couple of times to figure out what my errors were. And they were just silly little, goofball errors that I had forgotten that I had missed when I looked in the book, and I thought I knew what I was typing in. So when you do these, just make sure you type them in right, and you're going to get the results that you're expecting. As always, when you go to take a look at your queries, what are the wildcards, what are the things you can change and add, etc. So just trust me, the content here in this textbook is really good. That's the reason why I chose it. It's not all brand new, but it is good stuff. So when you go through these, just make sure you get them typed in right, and you'll get the right results.